Okay.
A lot of my practitioners, my wellness practitioners, they talk a lot, even Orisha Shun and Yaki and all these people, they are amazing. They're amazing. And but they are missing one piece. The one piece they're missing is how the biggest culprit of disease is your unhealed trauma.
Mm.
Your unhealed emotional trauma is the biggest culprit, because that is where you are learning your habits, your behaviors, and your beliefs. Habits, behaviors, beliefs come from that unhealed trauma. That's going to make you go and
Mm.
choose foods that do what? Cause the acid and the mucus buildup. But that's not the only piece. You
Right.
got to get to the core. So I'm about eating for supreme wellness is about cracking you all the way open to get in. We want to examine. It's like we looking at all the little details of the body, the anatomy of the body. And we're like, oh, that goes there. That doesn't belong there. Let's take that out.
Right.
And now let's kind of mend it and put it all together again.
Passion public service announcement. Passionate. So passionate. Let me tell you something. So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion, no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Greetings and salutations, Passionates. Welcome to another episode of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, Passion No Last Necessary, your Get You Right Guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I have observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered, to expand your thinking and to aid you in becoming the best version of yourself and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel how you feel, the same way I will never sugarcoat what it is I have to say to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so that you can operate as your highest and best self. We have a guest today, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to bring my guest in momentarily, and that is when we will do our affirmations. If you are new here, we start most episodes with affirmations just to elevate the vibration, make sure that the energy is uplifted, make sure that we are all on the same frequency, because I'm cognizant of the fact that I may say some things that rub you all the way wrong. And that's okay for you to feel how you feel, as we previously stated. But we want to make sure that we start up here so that if I do rub you wrong and you start to come down from up here, maybe you land right about here. So you're still nice and even keel and you're not in the most base of spaces. So I'm going to bring in our guest. And once I bring her in, then we will do our affirmations and we'll get right into it. I have not told the Passionates what your name is. I have not told them how we met. So I'm going to just drop that on y'all right now, Passionates. This is my good sis, Omena L. And Omena and I met a couple of years ago. We met as a result of joining a community of like-minded thinkers. And in that community, so many people were able to share what it is that they are currently working on, what it is that they seek to work on going forward. And one of the programs that Omena established was, well, she has so many different programs established. One of the ones that she established is what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, I just want you to know who Omena is in terms of her services that she offers. So her training, I want to talk to you about your background, your training, how you got into this area, what brought you here. Was it a spiritual journey? Was it more of a physical journey? Was it the culmination of the two? Like, let's talk about all of it. So, absolutely. Okay. So are you ready? Are you ready to do some affirmations with me?
Yes.
Okay. I honor my temple.
I honor my temple.
I value my temple.
I value my temple.
I maintain my temple for optimal wellness.
I maintain my temple for optimal wellness.
I honor the importance of total wellness.
I honor the importance of total wellness.
I monitor my consumption.
I monitor my consumption.
I intake that which serves my highest performance.
I intake that which serves my highest performance.
I seek to serve my mental wellness.
I seek to serve my mental wellness.
I seek to serve my spiritual wellness.
I seek to serve my spiritual wellness.
I seek to serve my emotional wellness.
I seek to serve my emotional wellness.
I seek to serve my physical wellness.
I seek to serve my physical wellness.
Balance is key.
Balance is key.
Balance is my objective.
Balance is my objective.
I am well.
I am well.
I am whole.
I am whole.
I am wholly committed to my wellness.
I am wholly committed to my wellness.
Ashe,
Ashe.
ashe, ashe.
Amen. Oh, alhamdulillah. So that was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for participating in that with me. Thank you for assisting me in raising the vibration and bringing us into a space where we can commune. So, Omena, what is it that you do and how did you get into it?
First of all, thank you, my good goddess. I am so thankful and grateful to be here in this space with you. I appreciate you. Thank you for that opening. So I am Omena L. I got into the wellness. You are so intuitive for both spiritual and physical purposes. I say spiritual because from young, I've always been very in tune with my body. Mm-hmm. And I've always known that certain environments and certain even just food being a chemical caused reactions, right? Caused certain emotional reactions and physical reactions in my body.
Right.
So in 1996, I was a junior in college and I was going through a spiritual journey. Actually, I might have been a sophomore. Was I sophomore or junior? Help me out here. I think I was either a junior or sophomore. Y'all don't get me to, it's too many years. Like that was 25 years ago. Let's just say 28 or 27 years ago, whatever. I took this journey in college and I started my spiritual awakening.
Okay.
I definitely had some issues of anger and issues of past life regression going on. Okay. And I knew that it was something deeper. So I was like, okay, we need to understand what's happening here.
So let me interrupt you right there. What is past life regression?
So past life regressions are some people don't believe in past lives because I get the whole concept of time. It all kind of happens at the same time. Right. However, your soul has reincarnated multiple times as different people in different eras, we can say, of history on this planet. Okay. And so a past life regression reading is one that goes back and taps into which one of those lives was unsettling for you. Mm-hmm. What did you not heal in that life that you brought into this life that needed healing? Mm-hmm. And so I realized that I was a Caucasian male who was racist but had some sort of a heart, you can say, or some compassion in a weird way, because while he was pillaging Native indigenous villages, he would also go back and hide food for them and give them food while he was a pedophile, like raping and doing these things. He didn't really want to do it. He was rolling with the pack. Mm-hmm. i.e. why, even though I am a part of groups, I don't really find myself staying in groups. But let me not stray off. So that started the spiritual awakening. In that starting the spiritual awakening, I just automatically stopped eating meat, like red meat. Okay. I don't know how I knew to do it, but something like spirit was just like, let's cut out this red meat because this is like, it's a little heavy. And I was having some digestive issues then that I didn't really delve deeper into in that particular moment. So fast forward to 1998, okay. I still was not eating meat. I then dropped chicken and turkey. Okay. Right. So poultry was completely eliminated from my diet. And I read this book called Spiritual Warrior. by Swami Krishnapada. And that was the first time that I actually was introduced to the food you eat associated with your emotions, as well as the emotions of the animal itself. And I said, oh, goodness gracious, like, I can't do this. And I did not give up my fish, though. I didn't give my fish up. But I was like, I will most certainly let go of this poultry. And I had already let go of the red meat. What I didn't know was that I was suffering from a condition called candida. So I would often have yeast infections, and I would often have these breakouts. You know, when you have a flare up with candida, if you don't know, candida is a bacteria growth that happens inside of the intestinal tract. And sometimes it can cause severe outbreaks where some people have like skin rashes, or you have like these really bad yeast infections. If you're a woman, it can cause bloating in the skin. It can cause like fogginess in the brain. It's really crazy. So mine was not that bad. However, it was uncomfortable enough for me to say, oh, and to make the correlation, like, okay, I keep getting these yeast infections and I'm itching down there. Because it's not just partners are important. We'll talk about that later. But like, it wasn't just the partners that I was having. It was really the foods that I was consuming. Okay. So from reading that book and being able to put two and two together, that started my holistic journey. That's when I began doing my own research about my condition. I changed. I knew that salt irritated candida. I knew that sugars irritated candida. And I also knew and found out and discovered that I had a very sensitive digestive tract. Mm-hmm. So I started looking at blood types even then, before I got into the certification. So, okay, now I'm doing all of this stuff. I heal myself from the candida. I find a colon therapist who also happens to be a Chinese herbalist, right? Mm-hmm. A doctor. And she actually was in the Bronx, and I would travel from Brooklyn, from Fort Greene, Brooklyn, all the way on the 2 train to the last stop, Gun Hill Road. Okay. And her name was Danette. I will never forget Danette's name, who she was. So she just was a beautiful spirit. And she was the first person that introduced me to the emotion, the gut itself, having like that being the second brain. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, okay, now we've got the emotional piece of food being a drug, me dealing with this candida, and on an emotional level, being able to link it to my past life aggression, to the anger, because that's what candida is. When you have a buildup of yeast or any kind of like bacteria, and it flares up like that, and there's heat in the body, there's either some type of a suppression of anger, there's some kind of a suppression of sadness, there's just a suppression of different things. Okay. So I figured all of those things out, got the colonic, started on this journey. And at the same time, I was making my own body care products. I changed my whole household. So when I say we didn't eat, I mean, like down to our dish detergents, to our cleaning products, to the seasonings, everything was replaced.
Why your cleaning products?
Because that also, in my research, I saw and noticed that boxes, those kind of heavy chemicals that are put inside of the cleansers, affect the skin and the hormones. And so I was like, oh, okay, we don't want any of that, because even though candida is a gut issue, because my gut microbiome was off, I just was like, in general, we're not doing anything that's unnatural. So my soaps, my everything just became natural from that standpoint from 1998. Okay. Everything looked different. And it was a hard transition because at the time I moved back with my family, and my mother was like, what's all this stuff? I hadn't had any children yet. Right. So she's like, what's all of this stuff? And I was like, this is what we're doing right now. And then I moved out the house, and I ended up living with I got a room. I was renting a room out with a friend, and they happened to live the same type of way. So it's very important that you live with people who have the same type of like thinking like how you have. And that was very helpful. Because we were able to just balance each other out. Now, fast forward to 2009.
Wait, before we get to 2009, because you said boxes, are you referring to what you, if people do research, are you referring to what people commonly see as VOCs?
Yes.
Okay. What do you know what that acronym actually is?
It stands for oh my gosh, I went blank because I do know what it stands for.
Because I forget. I know I've seen it before, but I forget.
No, I'm going to tell you right now, because I'm like, I always, and it's interesting because it is an acronym, and it stands for volatile organic compounds.
Okay.
So these are organic compounds that are mixed, right, inside of a cleanser, but they don't do well in the human system. They don't do well in our bloodstream.
Okay.
So volatile organic compounds.
But how would this impact our bloodstream if it's dish detergent?
So one, you're eating, right? So you're washing your dishes and your forks with that residue of the chemical is going inside of your mouth. Anything that goes inside of your mouth that touches your skin hits your bloodstream right away. The skin is one of the largest organs because of that, because it's porous. You have these little tiny pores, inside of your, and 3 different layers of your skin underneath the epidermis. So these things get into the skin. If they get into the skin, you have mostly veins. You got a lot of veins running through your arms,
right. The capillaries, so, all of it.
Capillaries, all of that stuff, right? So that's how that happens. That's how that works.
And it takes like 27 seconds for something to be absorbed through the skin, right?
It does. You're right. Like in seconds, it does. And not only that, like when you are looking at not just boxes being on your plates, environmentally, like when something's in the air, when it's airborne and you breathe that in, you are breathing in all of the residues of those unseen chemicals. So it's still the same thing. It's getting into your respiratory. Some people think because they're breathing like that doesn't do anything for me, but it's just like how you can find what they call like these particles that are found on the lungs, right? And sometimes those are the things that cause viruses and all other kind of like infections and things of that nature, because they're like these little tiny particles that get stuck inside of your passageways, your lungs and your airways. So this is how, these things are spread. And I knew, and I was like, I'm just not with it. I'm not with it at all. And it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for me to change the way I eat, but I'm still going to use Dawn dish detergent.
Right.
Right. That has these chemicals in it. And not only that, your kitchen is one of the largest places where bacteria and viruses grow. Right. So why would I use a rag? Like after a while, if you notice, you use your washcloths and your rags and your sponges and they smell like throw up. That's bad bacteria, baby, that's growing on that thing. That's why it's smelling like that, That bad bacteria is usually a pathogen. Mm-hmm. And that pathogen is what creates a lot of our autoimmune deficiencies and inflammatory deficiencies that people go through. It's one of the things, but yeah.
Okay. So you will fast forward into 2009 when I cut you off.
2009 was when I got my training, because I had been looking. I was always the go-to person, like you see how I speak. I was always the go-to person in my community of friends and families, like when something went wrong. So I started looking into herbs. I was, looking into foods and food combinations and all of these things, the emotional aspect of food, how food affects your thoughts, how your thoughts and your triggers are actually leading you to eat foods that are causing acid buildup, mucus buildup, like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease. That is not hereditary. Let me say it. I'm going to say it. Doctors might not agree with me. Some nutritionists might not agree with me, but I'm telling you, it's not hereditary, especially for melanated people. What it is it's a conditioning and it's a mutation of the gene. So if you think about the first mother, right? If she was in a very high stress condition, high stress environment. Let's say some people like maybe your ancestors didn't come from slavery or didn't go through that type of slavery thing. That's cool. But let's just say like even if they didn't, let's say that there was some type of an invasion in your community, or let's say that some weathering patterns were going on at the time that caused a lot of like just sudden change and shift. If that mother was pregnant, and if her environment was abruptly shifted and violated in such a way, that caused that mother to develop what we call hepatic encephalopathy, which is when the liver constricts because of the fear of the shift, or you're constantly tense, and so it cannot absorb nutrients and it cannot release nutrients. And so a lot of our hepatitis situations that people have, hepatitis B, C, A, D, you know what I mean? Like those are all liver infections with the liver and dysfunctions with the liver. So I would say like, if that mother was stressed, that was fed into the amniotic fluid of the child. The child was receiving all of that. So therefore, the gene mutated. And then let's use the story of slavery. Let's use it like where you came to this country. I mean, obviously we got here some kind of way through, I don't think all of us came here voluntarily. Some people came here voluntarily and others did not. But we weren't eating pigs and different parts of the animal, like the organs of animals. And we were not eating the fatty part of animals in certain places where we came from, right? So that, equipped with the fear, equipped with just sudden shifts, is what caused diabetes, or the conditions of diabetes, the conditions of heart disease, high blood pressure, that whole thing. And that is a theory that I've been working on. Apparently somebody else has a similar theory too. And I was like, oh, good, we should probably link up. I need to get in contact with this author. I forget the name, it escapes me. But they apparently figured out a similar thing as well too. Like, we were not fed, we weren't eating this type of stuff, right? And this is why many of us in melanated communities have digestive issues the way we do with milk, digesting milk, with, you know, eating certain meats, though everybody cannot be vegan either. So in my training, I went to IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, shout out to them. And that just brought all of my knowledge from 1998. Like, it just brought it all together. And then I learned even more. Here was this emotional connection coming again, primary food. So I was like, well, if you tell me, if you would have said primary food to me, I would have just thought like it's the main foods that you're supposed to have on the pyramid, on the food pyramid. Mm-hmm. That's not what primary food is, according to IIN. They introduced even deeper the what we would call, it's like a like involution, okay, like evolutionary eating, right? Which is like, or the circle of life, which is like these main categories in your life, from relationships to co-workers to work environment to home to spirituality, that affect you. And if you don't, or if you're not nurtured and balanced, because we just ended, balance is key. If you're not balanced in those primary areas of your life, then guess what? That's off. Food choices are going to be off. Same type of work. So it just worked out. And I've been doing this, y'all, for like I said, since 98, my own research. So from 98 to now, that's like 25 years. But really delving deeper into it from 96. 96 was kind of like my start. But 98 was when I was like, oh, I'm doing this. Like, I'm taking my own health into my own hands. I cured myself. The colonics were necessary. Certain herbs were necessary to take. And then that's how, when I was in IIN, was when I really delved deeper into the blood types. So that IIN introduced me a lot deeper into eating for your blood type and eating seasonally. So, yeah.
So when you went into IIN, is that when you became a chef?
No, so I didn't technically get professional training as a chef. I just was always a cook. I always knew how to cook. Okay. And so IIN gave me my board certification as a holistic nutritionist. Okay. The chefing, and I also that same year got my certification as a Thai massage therapist. So I was in IIN and I was taking Thai massage certification, like doing my whole massage certification at the same time with a 2.5-year-old. You know, Ozzy was 2.5 at the time. Okay. But this was something I knew I wanted to do because I also massaged friends. Like, I just was very good with my hands. I've always been creative and healing. My hands have always been healing. That's how all of that came together with the certifications. Okay. And then afterwards, I was cooking. I was cooking in 2000 before I got certified as a holistic alchemist, a holistic, nutritionist. I was cooking in 2000, selling vegan platters, because I have to say to you all, I have been every single thing. So when I got Candida, I was not eating meat at the time. I was actually vegan. I was vegetarian. So I wasn't eating no meat, because with the Candida, I was like, oh, we gonna cut all of this out. That mean no fish. Like, I wasn't even eating fish. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I had became vegetarian, vegan. And 2004, by 2003, 2004, I was like a raw food vegan. So all of this plant-based vegan, raw food vegan that's popular now, I was doing that back in 03. You know what I'm saying? 03, 04. And in 05, somewhat, 05, when I went away to Africa and I lived in Africa, I was in Ethiopia, I had to stop. I had to actually get on some type of an animal protein. I'm a B positive blood type. Okay. So now remember, I wasn't really tapping into the blood types like this until I went to IIN. but my body knew. It was like, you can't be raw, plant-based raw foodist out here in Ethiopia with these types of germs, because your body is not acclimated to this environment.
Right.
So I had to, I eventually got on cooked food. I didn't go right away into fish, but I got on cooked food, and it was like boring. I only could do like one thing at one time. So
why?
Because I had such a limited like diet of what I could eat, you know, and what I would eat, not even what I could eat, but just what I would eat. Because when you're plant-based raw food is like that for so long, I'm like, dang, it's bad enough I'm eating cooked food. So girl, all I ate literally was their lentils and their what they call habasha gomen, which is like collard greens, but it's cooked in a particular kind of way. That is all I ate. I didn't eat anything fermented, because sometimes fermented foods can also irritate the candida. And I knew I wasn't going to do that again. So
fermented, expound on that.
Yeah. So fermentation is a process of like when the food goes through like an aging process, right? Certain foods, they go through an aging process to develop these good bacteria. So there are some bacteria that are grown through an aging process that actually helps your gut. So most fermented foods would be like your soys, like tempeh. Tempeh is made from the soybean, but it's grown and aged in a particular way that it grows like extra bacteria. Nowadays, everybody's eating kimchi, you know, which is a cabbage, and the cabbage is aged. So sometimes they either can it, or they they'll can it, and they'll kind of like put, like, there's something called the mother, which is like a scab that
little thing that floats around in the vinegar.
Bro, that little bacteria thing that be floating, bro. Right. So they'll put that in kombucha, but I also found out that they'll do that too for the certain kimchi, certain cabbages, which I'm like, is like, wow, okay. So yes, that's that. And I knew that in my research, while candida can be good for probiotics, if you have candida, you can't get your probiotics that way. You can't do it that way. You have to do it more so from like live cultures that are grown differently, that need to be refrigerated and not necessarily canned or grown in different types of ways. Because once it comes to the aging process, then they have to refrigerate. It has to go through a level of refrigeration as well. So I knew that I couldn't eat those types of foods. And injera, I brought all of that up to say that injera is highly fermented. And so, I was like, okay, I can't do that. So I literally ate the lentils and collard greens.
How long did you live in Ethiopia eating lentils and collard greens?
Girl, I was eating them lentils and collard greens for like, I want to say like 6 months. I was there for a year. So I was eating that because, well, let me go back. Maybe it wasn't.
Sis, I know too many people. This is the whole reason I wanted to do this Daniel Fast Cooking Show, because I know too many people who can't manage for 21 days. I'm trying to help me grasp how you had 2 things to eat for 6 months, girl, and you did not like fall off the edge of the earth.
No, I caught Giardia. Let me tell you something. And this is why I'm telling y'all, because I was like, oh, I caught Giardia because I was getting so bored with eating the same thing over and over again, because they was like, stay away from the salads. So I kind of broke whatever the rule was, or the caution was, and I had a salad. I was like, I'm gonna just grow my own salad leaves. So I grew my own salad leaves. It still was in the soil. And then I had juices. I was like, come on, like, give me something, y'all. You gotta help me out here, because I can't just go completely on meats. I'm definitely not eating no meat, not out here. Sorry, right? So I did that for like 3 to 5 months, and definitely longer than 3 months. And then I caught Giardia, sis.
So what's that?
Giardia is a virus. It's a bacterial virus that's similar to E. coli in a way, because Giardia comes from when people don't wash their hands. It's a form of a feces bacteria that's found in either the faucet or foods. So even though, right, I'm like, but shit, I know I wasn't eating shit, but people was not washing their hands, and the water, it was the water. So the septic, they didn't have good septic systems in Ethiopia, which you would find that if you went to a restaurant, the bathroom was on the same pipeline as the kitchen. So that water is like kind of, they both, you know what I mean, filtering back and forth. They just like this, and it was through the juices. It was probably through the juice and probably from the soil of me growing my own lettuce and having to use that water, that I caught it. And so it was bad. Like,
so like, okay, what are the implications of Giardia? Like, do you have fever? Do you get rashes?
You get a fever. And what happens is you get a fever because you have really bad diarrhea and bad cramping. I mean, the stomach pain is out of this world. So you run a fever, you get a sweat. You literally are hot, like your body is like literally like burning up, but then it's a release, like it's diarrhea at the same time, except it's not loose diarrhea. You actually can see, I don't know if that was a parasite, like it's a parasite. So you can see that bacteria parasite come out of your body. So honey, I won't be so graphic because it was horrible. I thought I was dying. I did. I was like, I'm ready to go home. Right. Like put me on a plane and fly me back home, because who's dealing with this type of craziness? Okay.
Right.
Good thing is that they have their hospitals and their doctors are like, so not like New York or most places in the United States. You go and they really help you. So like I had an episode where I had this cramp and I was traveling. I was in Shashamani at the time, actually. I might've been, I was in Shashamani. And so they called the local doctor, whatever, the doctor in the town. And honey, he opened up his office at 3:00 in the morning and had me on there like boop, 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 like servicing me. You know what I'm saying? Gave me some type of like some kind of white pill or whatever. And then he gave me a liquid, and that between the liquid and the pill, it sustained me. Whatever cramping I had, I mean, more stuff passed out, even blood came through as well. And so he gave me another prescription to take for the rest of the week. He was like, do not under any circumstances drink any raw juices. You cannot have a juice, because he was asking me what did you eat, that type of thing. I said, well, sure, I've been eating the same food over and over again. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's when I picked up fish. Like after I was done with the Giardia and all of that, I picked fish back up, and I was like, bump this, like, because ain't nothing else I can eat, But unfortunately, sometimes the mind can play. This is why I say emotionally, when you're not dealing with whatever that is, because it was isolating and lonely for me to be in another country without my family, without my friends, going through something like that, right? On top of the fact, later on, I would not have known that I was going to meet somebody. I got pregnant. I lost the baby. I mean, so much happened in Ethiopia, sis. It was crazy. So I did not know that those two main events, the main things in my life, were going to transpire. And in both situations, I felt completely alone. But I have to give credit to Ethiopia's hospital system, I guess, because maybe it's not good for the locals, but it was amazing for me. And they treated me. They got my body back together. He was like, you cannot even eat out. He says, you need to be careful eating out. He's like, are you staying with somebody? I said, yes, I am. He says, do they have a kitchen? Yes, they have a kitchen. You're going to have to get somebody locally to come and make sure then that they're washing their hands. He's like, because this thing is like very, sometimes it can be hard to like completely get rid of. So as soon as I came back to the States, y'all already know, I looked at my homegirl, Danette. I said, Danette, actually, she was here in Georgia. And so she was telling me about another place, Geb Hotep at the time. In Geb Hotep, this lady, Marae, used to work with them. And so I went to Geb Hotep and I started seeing Marae for the colonics. And it was just like just from there, I kept getting cleansed. Like I would get cleansed like 6 times in a year. So I did it between seasons, right? And I'm telling you, all the stuff that was coming out, sis, like all that stuff that was coming out through me, like, because it, like he said, you'll have residue and stuff of it. And I was like, no, I need this shit out. I can never feel the way I felt. Excuse me.
It's okay. It's okay.
I need this thing out. I'm like, I can never feel the way that I felt, because it was scary.
Right.
It was scary. I didn't know if I was going to wake up. I'm bleeding, like I can, I'm pooing and bleeding. I was blood coming out at the same time. So I said, what happened? Like, do I have cancer? Like, I mean, what? My mind is over there. Like, do I have cancer? I mean, is this is this colon cancer? I'm like, because why would I be bleeding? But it was both. It was like, it was all kinds of stuff. But I survived it. I came home. And then when I came home in 2005, I really was like, no, we gonna take this food seriously. We gonna learn how to, heal other people and cook for people and uplift people, inspire people through the cooking. So that's how I got into cooking, the cooking aspect.
Okay. I have a couple other questions because you did say that you are a board certified holistic nutritionist, which I think is dope. And a Thai, you practice Thai massage.
Yes.
And then, so I want to ask you about your studies in herbalism.
I'm a nutritionist, so I didn't necessarily study herbs. I didn't go to school for herbology.
Okay.
I went to school for nutrition.
Okay.
The difference is that herbs really look at more plant organic compounds and the benefits of those and the molecular structure of a plant, compound, the benefits of that plant compound and how it works in the body. And so I didn't necessarily go into herbology in that way.
Okay. All right. So thank you for that correction. Okay. So when did you create the course? What's the name of your course and when did you create it? And let's talk about it. Why did you create the course? How did you come up with the concept?
Right. So Eating for Supreme Wellness was a culmination of workshops that I used to do back in the early 2000s, like all of the 2000s, and different workshops that I did with corporations and clients and things of that nature. So as I said, when I got into IIN and I had the component of the blood type, I already had the component of emotional eating from Swami Krishnapada's book, and then just reading some other books and doing some other work. And what I did was, and recently I developed a course because I had it. I had the course. That course is probably written and developed, girl, like 11 years ago.
Okay.
But I took the courage to actually say, you know what? Let's put this in a actual, digital space where women, in particular, because I work with women, I work with womenpreneurs and mothers because we are the lifeline to humanity. And I don't care what anyone says. If you go into a home, it's very rare that the divine masculine is going to be running that home. It's going to be the feminine that's running the home. And even if she's standing in her divine masculine, it's still the feminine presence that's running that household. So if she's imbalanced, if she's not well, if she doesn't even know how to be well because she's too busy working or maintaining and keeping up with bills, then it's going to really create a dysfunctional household that's going to raise children who are going to be hella insecure, who are going to be insecure, who are going to have various emotional problems, behavioral problems. Crime is going to increase, like these types of things. I would say to people, you want to know how you can end racism? You want to know how you can end crime? Show me a mom who's eating well, who's dealing and healing her emotional trauma. And I'll show you a mother that's raising a sustainable, loving, wholesome family. Because her partner, whether it's a husband or wife or whomever, they're all going to follow suit. So Eating for Supreme Wellness was officially created and put out on the market in 2020. I did a Surviving Vegan Academy. Well, I did that, but Orisha Oshun had another boot camp class that I did. And in that boot camp class, it challenged us to create like a workshop or some type of a service that we could put out for sale. And I was like, how do I take all of this information? Like, how do I take these years of experience? I don't know what to do. And Spirit said to me, it was like, yes, you do. And it just downloaded. I'm always getting downloaded by Spirit. It just downloaded. It showed me the color scheme. It brought the person to me. I sent her the information for the workbook. I already had my website. So I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to use. And this is what I'm going to say. I since then, from creating my website a couple of years ago, have edited and even tightened more the service, the Eating for Supreme Wellness service. So I created a commercial, like all these things were coming to me. And I was like, okay, this is what it must feel like to flow, what they say, release and let God, or
let go, let God.
Let go, let God. Oh, this is what that feels like. This is the example of that.
So let me ask you a quick question, because we more and more within the last 2 years, you hear people very loosely saying, you know, I got a download, or it was downloaded. So what exactly does that mean for the person who does not understand this terminology?
Okay. So we all have a relationship with the Creator. Some people are more prone to hearing messages that come from God.
Okay.
Right? So a download is a message that comes from the Creator to you. Okay. It is not like, maybe somebody does hear a whisper, but it is like part of your intuition. It's a knowing that you know is coming from the Creator. It speaks to you silently in the mind, and it says, hey, do this. And you know that this is it. So the download really is a message that's sent to you from our Creator, whether you call it God, Jehovah, Allah, Yahweh, whomever. It comes from the Creator, and it is imprinted through you. Sometimes it can happen where it's a direct message, and other times somebody can say something and you're like, oh, that's the Creator talking to me through them, through words. So the download is that.
Okay. So Eating for Supreme Wellness, you create the course based on basically a challenge from another course that you were taking. They say, okay, create a course, create a saleable digital product and release it. And you say, I can't, and source says, yes, you can. And I'm gonna show you and tell you how. And then you follow the instructions. Like, you took the information from the download. That's a very important additive, because a lot of people forget that part. You took the information from the download and you said, okay, this what source said, this what I'm gonna do. You release it to the world. What is Eating for Supreme Wellness?
So Eating for Supreme Wellness is a course that really helps you to identify your emotional triggers, and that connection to emotional eating. So what we do is we use something called the OFT method, because we are electromagnetic beings. And a lot of times we hold our memory in our cells. So if you ever notice, if you go around a place, or you go in a certain environment, or you smell a certain type of food, your body is going to react before your mind reacts. Like, your body's going to react. You're going to feel sensations. So the OFT method actually uses something called electromagnetic therapy to help you measure your high frequency thoughts with your low frequency thoughts. And so I literally have a person go back to a memory, right, of something that was done to them in their trauma. So let's say, like, if you were sexually abused, I will have the person go back to that moment, and it would be, you could see in the person's body just like how they would be responding. But they hold a dowsing rod or hangers, and in that wired, because that's a metal energy, it's an energy transfer. The hangers, or those dowsing rods, are going to have an immediate response to the energy, the cellular electromagnetic energy running through your body. It's a charge. And so Eating for Supreme Wellness helps you to look at 5 areas. It says, okay, let's look at why, the root cause of why your behavior patterns are the way they are, why you're eating these foods, because there is an emotional connection to it. So we have to identify your trigger. What is the thing that ticks you off? You could say it frustrates you, even if it gives you life. Okay, but what is that thing? We really are looking at the emotional trigger. Then we say, okay, after we've identified it, let's now look at what this means. So I know for me, with Candida, I was attracted to sugar and sweets because I wasn't getting that sweetness at home. I had a father who was my hero, but this dude, man, like he just stopped talking to me at 12 years old in the same household. And I was just like, what did I do at 12? So that sweetness, and then having these relationships that were like, I find myself like, the guy is leaving, and And I'm like, wait, don't go anywhere. Why are you leaving? Because I just gave you everything. I gave you all of me. Where are you going? And so it was a sweetness that I was missing, and I was attracted to sugary foods. So I could say that, right? Now we identified that. Oh, okay. Because of what happened at 12, this is, it caused me to date guys and eat foods that gave me that nurturing. So that's how we do that. So we list it, we identify it, we bring the connection, and now we're going to look at your body type. Because are you actually eating foods that you're supposed to be eating for your body and your blood type? Do you know what your blood type is? A lot of people don't know what their blood type is. Well, why is this important, Omena? Because your blood is your biochemical map. It is going to help your organs. It's going to tell you like what's going on in your body from optimal health to disease, from the white blood cells that are like your G fighters that keep your immune system going, to your red blood cells that are like, okay, if that's thrown off, then I know I might be a little anemic. How are my heme levels? What's my hemoglobin levels is what, right? All these things can, okay, now I see that this is causing, my miscarriages, because believe it or not, the blood is so important. It's really just, it's a map. It's like lines and maps, right? So you need to know what your blood type is. And then now we need to be eating for the season. So now we're at 4. You got to eat for the seasons. Why is that important? Because I could be eating a food that's not biologically and organically grown for the season. And then therefore, I'm probably not going to, that fruit is not going to mature. It would not have matured, or that vegetable would not have matured to its full potential to have all of the nutrients and benefits in it. So therefore, if I'm eating it, my body is really not getting anything. I'm getting more of the pesticides, because they're going to have to spray that fruit so that it can grow to maturation. And then if it comes to me and it's traveling, Lord knows, however many thousands of miles on a truck in a box, what the city doesn't tell you, and what the state doesn't tell you, is that there is about like 20% of 30% of contamination that's allowed, like vermin contamination. Because they know if this box is coming from this place to that place, and we got right, girl. They don't tell y'all that. They don't tell y'all that part, okay? But it's like, right? How do we think these boxes of mangoes and kale and all this, right?
Magically with no rodents. Like, what you mean, sis? You crushing my dreams right now.
Girl, listen, it's 20%. It's allotted like a 20%, 30% level of contamination, because it's impossible. And then they have to pump other chemicals in the vegetables to keep them alive. So listen, with all of that going on, you need to be eating foods locally in season so that you can avoid, right, possible vermin, whatever the freaking frack, right? Feces and urine and whatever else, right? So you can avoid all of that. Eat locally. And then the last part of eating for supreme wellness is we look at, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped something. So like, you have the seasons, and then you have your chakras and your lifestyle.
Okay.
So we look at your chakras because that's an energy portal. Your lifestyle is important because you're a single person, right? So guess what, Passion? You're a woman, you're single, you don't have children. You're not going to eat the same type of foods that Omena, single as well, with 2 children, are going to eat.
Right. So,
and our lifestyles are different, right? So your schedule is different from my schedule. I have to look at that. I have to account for that. And I have to make sure that I'm prescribing, and I'm telling you, and I'm developing a meal plan that works for that too.
Okay.
Based off of blood type, season, body type, that whole thing.
Okay.
A lot of my practitioners, my wellness practitioners, they talk a lot, even Orisha Shun and Yaki and all these people, they are amazing. They're amazing. And but they are missing one piece. The one piece they're missing is how the biggest culprit of disease is your unhealed trauma. Your unhealed emotional trauma is the biggest culprit, because that is where you are learning your habits, your behaviors, and your beliefs. Habits, behaviors, beliefs come from that unhealed trauma. That's going to make you go and choose foods that do what? Cause the acid and the mucus buildup. But that's not the only piece. You got to get to the core. So I'm about eating for supreme wellness is about cracking you all the way open to get in. We want to examine. It's like we looking at all the little details of the body, the anatomy of the body. We're like, oh, that goes there. That doesn't belong there. Let's take that out.
Right.
And now let's kind of mend it and put it all together again. How do you feel? I'm healed. How my homegirl Gizmo from Lulu's Vintage, she goes, you've been healed. She puts her hand on you've been healed. That's honey, funny. I've been healed. So that's what we do. We look at those 5, 6 components of one's life, and we work from there. So it's a 4-week course, which is now 6 weeks, this cohort, and there's still time. People can still sign on because we literally just started yesterday.
Okay.
And so they have time to sign on. And in that, we just go through the process, just like what I broke down to you. So the first 2 weeks, we're on a liquid fast because the body needs a break from foods. And this is where all of your emotional triggers are going to come up, because it's like, wait a minute, I can't have what? I can't do what? And I need what? Like, folks resort back to like primary age, like rudimentary, like school age, where it's like, what do I do? This, and how I have to. All of the emotional triggers come up this first week. Because whenever I introduce the list, okay, well, here's what you need. Here's your food list. Here's your supplement, herbal supplement list. And here's your spiritual bath list. This is what you need for the spiritual bath. They're like, what?
So let me ask you this. So you said the spiritual bath. So the person who is staunchly religious, staunchly Christian, is this program accommodating for them, or is this the program that they should sit out of because they're going to feel like there's all kind of witchcraft and whatnot going on?
Listen, I actually have people who are Christian or who were raised very religious take this course. I will say this: if you are a Christian and you are open, absolutely. Because think about it like this: I'm not completely religious, but I do know that the Creator talked about colonics when in the Essene prophecy, when he talked about taking that stalk and cleansing himself out in the Essene gospel. I also know that baths, right, are something that was taken too in the Bible. You had, I don't know which character, I'm not even going to go there, but, one of them, I'm sure they took baths, right? So think of it that way. Think of it like, and it's not a bath, excuse me, it's a shower. So we actually are doing a shower because not everybody has a bath, and I realize that. And not everyone is capable of taking a bath. So I have made it and turned it into a shower where you can actually just pour the essential oils in there, boop, 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 make the water hot as possible, let it steam in your bathroom. And all you're literally doing is just breathing and exhaling. And that steam is getting on your skin. So all those essential oils, the properties and benefits of it, like we said earlier, the skin is the largest organ. It's getting in there. It's getting in there, right? We talked about breathing things in. So instead of breathing in harsh chemicals, you're breathing in essential oils that are actually triggering neural like transmitters in your brain, to increase the dopamine, to increase oxytocin. Like, these are all things that's all happening in your neurotransmitters. So yes, a Christian person can take this. Will they be triggered? They're going to just be triggered off the bat, whether they were Christian, Buddhist, whomever, white, Muslim, black, yellow, or green, because of the emotional, the buried emotions that come up in this process, because it happens very quick. And like I said, people are like, what? But I'm going to tell you, we have been conditioned to think, I don't want to sit in uncomfortability. And even me, sometimes I will not move if I feel like it hurts too bad. And then I have to say, but what hurts too bad? Because am I breathing? Yes. My shoulders are shrugged. Can you relax your shoulders? Yes. Am I talking right now? Yes. So the hurt is more mental than it is physical. But if you think about it like this, if you never dealt with your pain or your uncomfortability, your pain of uncomfortability, not physical pain, but if you didn't deal with that uncomfortability, the emotional uncomfortability, what do you think that's going to turn into? It's like I'd rather probably deal with the emotions than to be dealing with a heart attack, than to be dealing with cancer, than to be dealing with a fibroid, than to be dealing with actual pain. Some people like when I think of the this disease, it's fibromyalgia, girl, or endometriosis, extreme pain in the body. And it's because of more of the emotion. Endometriosis is more like, I really feel violated as a woman. And I don't really know if I like being a woman, but I might not never say that out loud. So because I suppress that and hold that in, it turns into this growth. It turns into this, an impairing of my fallopian tubes, and my womb being completely thrown off, right? Because I don't really like being a woman, but I won't say that. It's crazy. Or you'll grow fibroids.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And I know, because I know some of my passionates closely, and I know some of them are like, this woman don't know what she talk about. That's not true, because so-and-so had it and they love being a woman. But I mean, like, everybody goes like, I don't always love being a woman, but I don't have endometriosis. So like, so to the naysayers and the people who want to argue you down, whether they have medical degrees or they're or they're YouTube surfing so that they can find somebody to refute what you're saying, what do you say to them?
I say that you will believe your truth will manifest for you, your experiences, but it will not be the total truth.
Say that one more time.
So your truth will manifest your life experiences, but it will not necessarily be the total truth or the whole truth. Because in order for something to be true, right, it has to be universal. The truth is universal. It's just true all the time.
Right.
It's not true sometimes. It's true all the time. It's not temporary. It doesn't come 1 minute and for a couple of years and it stays around and then it leaves. No, it's infinite. So the truth is infinite. And so I just say this, what is infinite about what I'm saying is that you have an emotional dysfunction and an emotional imbalance that causes dis-ease in your body. That's just really what it is.
Period.
I mean, like, there has been more science and more neuroscientists as well, as holistic nutritionists, medical doctors who are coming over now to this side of holistic wellness, and they're even admitting, wow, yeah.
There's a metaphysical impact.
There's a metaphysical impact to dis-ease. Like, my stress is going to increase what? Cortisol. Cortisol is going to affect the neurotransmitters, and it's going to drop the dopamine levels and oxytocin in my body, and that then will increase another kind of like it'll cause not just unclarity, but it'll cause that cortisol level to rise up to basically welcome in dis-ease, welcome in.
Because cortisol creates deposits.
It creates deposits, and so depression is a lack of vitamin B. Like it's you be having like real B vitamin deficiencies, and C vitamin too. C vitamin is so important, not just for your immune system, but vitamin C is really, really connected to like how the body fights off free radicals. So a lot of your carotenoids, flavonoids, phytochemicals, all of these things rely on vitamin C. So now, if you don't have that, that's for sure. You're going to have a high level of free radicals, which are incomplete atoms. Not me making it up, just what it is and how that works. And, people can research that. But yes, it is a tough thing to hear, because my fibroids, it was the same for me. I'm like, I love being a woman, I think. But you know what? When I sat quietly, I was like, but I am freaking angry.
Right.
And I am angry both at the masculine and the feminine, because if I'm being completely honest with your passionates, there was a moment in my time and in my history, even going through all of my trainings, where I definitely felt women were weak. And that's why I put so much of my masculine on. Because I was like, oh, being soft and graceful will get you slapped in the face. And I was like, no, you're not gonna slap me in the face, because you come over here now and a sword is coming out.
Right.
But that was such an imbalance. And I really did. I had, how else did I have fibroids? I didn't have a diet. I always tell people that, like, yo, take my case, for example. But my son, he was, when I was pregnant with him, they were like, oh, you have fibroids. I said, from where? Because I I don't consume meat. I don't eat white sugar. It's not even in my house. I don't even eat products that have white sugar. I don't do a lot of flour based. I do a lot of dehydrating, but not white flour. You know what I mean? So breads, not any of that. Dairy. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat eggs. I don't eat it. Excuse me. Where these fibroids coming from? I was eating at one point, y'all. I did get back on organic eggs, but not enough for it to be like, this caused your fibroids.
Right.
So I had to look at other areas. I said, what else could this be? And that was the emotional piece. So Eating for Supreme Wellness is an amazing course. I would tell people and encourage people, listen, you've been stuck enough. You've been stuck. And I'm going to tell you what happens. It don't get better. For the person that's sitting there like, oh, I'm going to just stay here because I just feel how I feel, because eventually it'll go away, but it won't.
So here's a question, because I want to be mindful of the time. You said that one of the components is eating for your blood type. A lot of people don't know their blood type. So give me an example for somebody who's A positive, right? How do they eat for their blood type?
So A positives, if you go back into history, and by the way, melanated people need to be eating a different diet from, our Caucasian fellow humans. But that's a whole nother, you and I can do a whole nother show on that. So if you think about in indigenous cultures, okay, the A positive people were the ones who stayed very local in the community. They were the ones that tended to community events, to the land. They grew the food. They had more of a sensitive digestive tract, because they weren't out like the O's hunting and gathering in different weathering conditions. They weren't like the B positives that were nomads. They'd be like, okay, great, passing through. Thanks for letting me stay here. See you later, right? So they didn't have that type of adaptability. They literally stayed planted. They were also the spiritualists. They were the healers. They were the witch doctors. They were the midwives. They were the ones that really was tending to the community and the land. So an A positive person cannot be in environments that are highly pollutant. They can't. They also can't be in environments where it is a lot of busyness and things going on, because it affects their, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it affects their emotional, right? Like their brains. It just affects their brain.
Okay.
And the emotional capacity. So they need to be in places where they're in nature. It's peaceful. They're by water. Or they're in communal. They do very well in communal, small communal kind of like groups. They cannot have meats that are of the fat. They really can't have meat at all, quite honestly. A blood types can really be vegan, because their gut microbiome is not, they don't have enzymes, and they don't have it. Their intestines are like smaller. So because their intestines are smaller, and it's not like where they have an extra enzyme like an O to process meat, they have to eat smaller meals. They have to eat meals that are like plant-based, that will digest, have faster digestive times, as opposed to like carbs. They can't do heavy carbs either, like white rices and a bunch of breads. That's really not going to work well with an A type. They really can do more of like when I think about the type of foods that they can eat, I think like Mediterranean, because it's light. They do a lot of salads, a lot of grains like farro, quinoa, that type of stuff. Like they can do well with those types of diets. And so, yeah, that's what a positive would do. And also, because they're highly nervous people, because like I said, they're sensitive. So they get like, You know, they worry a lot. And you have to think about that, right? That too. The people who stayed in the community, they were probably always on the lookout, like just making sure that everything was safe, right? So they because they have higher levels of anxiety and stress hormone, they don't do well with acidic foods, and they don't do well with meat at all. They just can't. They can't have it.
Okay. And then, so the seasonal component, how do you eat seasonally if so when you say eat seasonally, I'm from New York. In New York, apples grow. That I know. I know there are some vineyards in Long Island, so I can assume safely that grapes grow.
Yeah.
There's peaches in Jersey.
Right.
And I know some cherry trees are around. But outside of that, like, are there specific, so I'm a watermelon fan and I eat all kinds of watermelon. Is that something that I should stay away from? Or is that something, because for like watermelon is really one of those fruits that predominantly is available in the summertime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's it's almost global, right? In the summertime. But if my watermelon is being grown someplace where it's summertime all the time, then it's in season. So it's in season for where it was grown, but not necessarily in season for where I am.
That part.
So I shouldn't be having things that are not in season for where I am.
That part. Let me just say this about watermelon.
Okay.
Melons, because they have one of the fastest digestive times of all fruits, and they are really water-based. I let people get away with it. Now, is it going to be as fresh and good and nice and juicy? Probably not. And it should be seeded. Watermelons and melons, I tell people it's okay. Like, that's a fruit that you can have. It's not going to be the best tasting. It just won't if it's not in the summertime. But because it has a higher digestive time, it's better. Like, it's one of those fruits that I said you can get away with. Bananas, not so much, because it's tropical. So now you getting a banana in the wintertime, it's like, I probably would not be eating bananas in the wintertime. I would, however, in this fall season, because we've got a lot of beautiful vegetables that's coming up. So persimmons are kind of like in season in New York. They're I feel like upstate New York, there's a farm that grows persimmons too. So you have that piece of it. And then apples always. Oranges are not. They're not really grown locally. We might have some orange trees upstate, but it's not local. You're not going to find that in a colder region. You're going to find oranges grown more in tropical southern regions or in the Caribbean. So while we eat oranges, while we eat what's another fruit that we eat out of season? Pineapples. And they are so acidic, by the way. I've noticed lately when I get a pineapple, one, it doesn't stay fresh long. Neither are the cantaloupes. Pineapples are not in season. Blueberries, all your antioxidant fruits, those are also fruits that you can eat throughout the season, because they are really good for removing oxidation out of the bloodstream, which causes aging, which also affects the blood. So a lot of people who are anemic, they probably have high oxidation in their blood, and that's something that I would go check and definitely, get checked out. Like, do I have a deficiency? You know what I'm saying? In antioxidants, like, what are my levels? You know what I mean? So yeah, those are things you can do. You're right about the grapes, but again, that's a certain type of time, because in Long Island's not a warm place either, but those grapes are not growing in the winter, if you notice.
One more question I had was eating for your chakras, you said? Okay, expound on that a little bit.
So yeah, in the course, we really go over, everybody has what is called meridian points, or like discs of energy. Okay. And they're like, you can touch them. If you like your point of your head, we know that when a baby was born, had a cradle, right? Soft cradle, you'd be like, oh, don't touch that. So here's the energy portal. Here's the energy portal. So is your throat, your solar plexus, your heart, your belly button, and your genitalia area, right? are all portals. We have way more than those, but those are the 7 main ones. And because it is a line that goes straight through, like it elongates the same, and it aligns the same way that your spine does. So you have a meridian point, you have a point,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just like when you think of homeostasis, you have like your left side and your right side. You have up and down, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like the same way that the universal law of cause and effect, as above, so below. Your body has that same thing. It's like it's a line that comes together to bring balance. It's like the yin and the yang.
Mm-hmm.
So the chakras are these amazing energy portals or discs that uh, carry certain type of frequencies, energetic frequencies. And if they are fed the right types of colors, the right types of words, the meditations,
Mm-hmm.
foods, they are really, really, really great at helping you to tap deeper into your intuition and to tap deeper into what we were talking about before, that relationship with the creator, with God, so that you can be downloaded.
Okay.
So, in Eating for Supreme Wellness, we actually go through that, and I help people um, balance their chakras, because sometimes something's out of whack, right? It's
Okay.
just like how if you are working and you're walking on your feet all day, you're going to feel tired on one side probably more than the other, right? Because maybe you lean on one side more than you do the other. So
Okay.
it's the same thing with your chakras. If you've not been addressing, you've been around, let's say, certain crowds of people in relationships. Let's say you've had an intimate interaction with someone. Let's say that you're in an environment, a home environment that's not sustainable. Like we said, they might have those harsh boxes or other things going on. These are affecting your chakras. And so
Mm.
we teach you how to actually, and this is so perfect because look what's here. Look what's right here for me to show you. I show people how to use a pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
And my Christians might be like, Lord of mercy. But this is energy, because energy doesn't lie, right? So I could say God and only God. I'm not. I hope you can see my hand. I'm not making it shake. I'm saying God and only God. And you can see that it's moving, right?
Right.
It's not me shaking it. It's doing it on its own. And so this is letting me know that the presence of the creator is here. And I always say that to bring God into every chakra reading that I do. So then I'll make a true statement and a false statement for it to show me my yes and my no. So
Okay.
I'll say, hey, um, my name is Tiffany. My name is Tiffany. And it's going to start moving. My name is Tiffany. And it's going to show me what my no is. I'm not moving this. My name is Tiffany. And it already knows my name is not Tiffany. So no, it's not. It's basically going around in a circle like, no, that's not your name. That ain't who you are. You ain't a Tiffany. So I know that if I'm asking it a question to align up somebody's chakra and it does that, it's like, that's not, like, the chakra is off still. Okay. I am 45 years old. I'm 45 years old. And you see, I'm not moving it. I'm 45 years old. And it's going to show me what my yes is, the same way that I brought God in. And I knew that this yes was going to be the same thing as like when I say God and only God. So this is my yes. Okay. Like an up and a down. And what I do is I take this and I just kind of like just go first. I'll just kind of go through a person's chakra. And let's
Mm-hmm.
see what's going on with my crown chakra. So let's see how my crown chakra is doing. And I'll just hold it here and I'll take some breaths. I'll just be normal. And I'm going to let it do what it's doing. And it's swinging. It's not me swinging it at all. It's not me doing anything. And right now I'm very clear. And it could be because I'm fasting too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on this liquid fast. So a lot has been released. I've been releasing a lot. I've been doing mirror work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you find that it's kind of going all over the place, it can also mean like, okay, my thoughts are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do stuff like that. That's just an example to see what is in alignment and what's out of alignment. And then I'll just have a person breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And after they breathe, I'll have them kind of like make a statement, just like how we did our affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have them say an affirmation related to that chakra. But if I measure and it tells me what's out of whack and out of balance, I'll know like, oh, okay, emotionally, this person has been going through X, Y, Z, Y, Z. And that will tell me as the holistic alchemist, it'll let me probably know, it will let me know what kind of foods they've been eating. So then I would make that correlation and I would ask And the person 9 times out of 10, they've all been like, yep, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it all sounds very, very interesting. It's a lot of information to intake. My question to you, if any of the passionates say, you know what, I'm going to give this a whirl, like, I'm gonna take a peek at it. I'm gonna see, because it sounds like some hooey to me, but I'm gonna try it because, you know, we gonna see if she know what she talking about or not. How would they find your program? And like, how would they enroll?
So they can go to OM Wealth, WEALTH 1111.com. Wealth 1111.com. That's just the easy way. I have a link tree, but I'm gonna take you straight there.
Okay.
Go to the website. When you go to the website, it's gonna open up to this beautiful like web page. You'll see me in teaching mode, and then if you go underneath, it'll have featured products and services. You're gonna see a flyer. It's a peach kind of like color. You'll see a woman with a pink hat. That's me. That's Eating for Supreme Wellness. You hit that and it just breaks down like what you're getting in the course.
Okay.
So you have 2 options. You can they will not be able to use. I have a discount for your passionates too, honey.
Come on.
But they will not be able to use the discount on the $222 option, which will allow a person to sit in for 2 weeks. So you can sit in the course because, like you said, maybe somebody might be like, I don't know about this. Let me try it out. But you can sit in the course for 2 weeks at $222, or you can take the whole course for $555. And I'm always doing something new. This is our 3rd cohort. So it's been going really great. The fact that I'm even doing this a 3rd time, I'm just like, ooh, come on, sis. Like, yes, right. I know it's going to grow because it just keeps growing, you know? And so they can use passionettes with an S, passionette, PASSIONATES for the $555 course, and they will get 20% off of the course. And they also can do shop. You could do shop pay installments. You can do, I think, Affirm pay installments or Klarma, one of the 2.
Klarna,
you can do installments.
Okay.
And if you're like, Omena, that don't work, just email me, because you can also pay me directly to do installments as well. But I follow the same routine that Shop Pay follows. So it's, you know, actually I don't, because you have to pay me before the course ends. So I should say that I actually don't. You actually would have to pay me up before the course is over. But with Shop Pay, it'll allow people to make 4 installments every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And if they want to follow you on the socials, where would they find you?
You can find me at eating_for, and that's the whole word, FOR, _supreme, supreme _wellness. So eating_for_supreme_wellness. That's where they can find me. Okay.
If you had to, because this is the Passion Public Service Announcement podcast, right? And the whole inspiration behind it is to make an announcement. This is something that I've observed. This is something that was on my mind, and I feel like we need to talk about. If there were 3 key points that you would want for the viewing audience to walk away with this afternoon, what would they be? 3 to 5, but at least 3.
3. First thing is, how am I feeling in my body? What's going on with me emotionally? Second thing is, I never knew that my blood type was important to how I eat. So let me go do some research and see what Omena is talking about and type in. First of all, let me go find out what my blood type is. Okay. And then the third thing would be my wellness does not have a price point. And I get that as a woman, I am in control of my household. And so I want to be well. I want my family to be well. If I'm a single person, I don't have any children, I just want my friends to be well. I want me to be well. Let me look at ways to bring balance into my home. Let me look at ways to invest in my wellness, my overall wellness, my mental health wellness, my physical wellness, my emotional wellness, and my nutritional wellness. Let me invest in that. and not get caught up in the dollars, because I am someone whose finances goes up and down like this, and I always find a way to get the things that I really want done. And I mean, really, I've never had a problem. So don't let money be the reason why you don't move forward in getting taking care of your wellness in your home, in your household.
Okay. I think that's good. What would I say? I think open your mind to new schools of thought and to more rounded education, meaning that as a holistic nutritionist, you're approaching it very differently than a medical doctor would. The medical establishment presents things differently. And part of that is because of the training that they get. There's been a lot of controversy and a lot of discussion recently about the medical doctors having maybe one short course on nutrition. And so there is an extreme disconnect in how you are being treated because there's no knowledge in nutrition, which is so key and so essential to our day-to-day functioning. So open your mind to that. Like what you've always done is not necessarily what you should have been doing, and it's not necessarily what you should be continuing to do. So just because your grandma and them ate this way and your grandma and them lived to 97 years old, your grandma and them lived to 97 years old, but also show me your grandma not being on 3,000 pills. Show me that. And then we can have this conversation again where you say, no, you can eat whatever you want and you could smoke it, you could drink it, you could do whatever and be fine. Now, I'm never going to tell anybody to not indulge in whatever they want to indulge in, but I will tell anybody that you don't have to be dependent on your vices. And a lot of people are dependent on their vices because they are not willing to detach or identify what is causing them to feel like they need a vice. And some of that is already what they have. I want to say what they're over consuming and where their deficiencies lie. And so those two are feeding them and saying, no, we need this to make us feel better because I don't have this. And if I had this, then I probably wouldn't need that so much. I wouldn't want it so much. I'd be able to do without it for much longer. So I think that would be that.
Biggest piece to that, what you just said, is what are you missing? What are you missing? What are you missing emotionally? What are you missing physically? What are you missing in your life that's causing you to have that vice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
By
but
the
a lot
way,
of people aren't interested in being balanced. And that's a different episode. We can have that episode another day. A lot of people are not interested in being balanced because they have decided, they have become comfortable in their imbalance. And so why would I want to be different? I like it like this. And they like the turmoil that it unleashes on everyone else. Another episode altogether.
Until it's like, ooh, that one thing that happens and you're like, my life was really put on the line. But I want to say this last thing, and that is because I didn't mention this, in my graduating class at IIN, it was 1,300 of us. In that class of 1,300, we had about like 600 medical doctors. And they all were saying the same. And that was in 2009. 600 medical doctors. And they were like, we don't know why they don't teach us this in medical school. We only had 4 hours of nutrition class, 4 hours. So that you weren't lying about that. They're not lying. These came from medical doctors, not me. And they actually didn't look like me. Many of them were, many of them were other types of doctors.
But from other groups, right.
Other groups. And no, they don't.
So I think that today was dope. I think that you gave a lot of information. It's a lot to unpack. I think that being able to tap in with you will serve many people very well. I think that all of you passionates, if you have the opportunity, if you are willing to take the time to explore something maybe you may not have previously considered, which is what we always talk about in the intro, I think that it would be great for you to head on over to Om Wealth. It's omwealth.com, or is it omwealth1111?
Yeah,
omwealth1111.com. OMWEALTH 1111, both the number 11, the number 11.com.
Mm-hmm.
Check out her website, see what other product offerings she has. If there's anything else that you're interested in, follow Omena on the socials. Are you on only Instagram? Are you on TikTok? Like, what other platforms are you on?
I am, but I'm on TikTok as Eating for Supreme Wellness, or as the Holistic Alchemist, but I don't do anything with that page, and I'm not as savvy with my social media, so I'm sorry. But I am on TikTok, and I am on Facebook, but not as Eating for Supreme Wellness. That would be my personal page, but they can follow me there too, the personal _ world of Om. So that's another Instagram. But yeah, business wise, it mainly is Instagram. Oh, and I have a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel is Eating for Supreme Wellness. So do go there.
Okay.
And follow me, because I'm trying to grow my audience there.
Okay. So all of that will be linked in the description box below. I'm sure I put some of this stuff on the screen, and if I didn't, look in the description box. In any event, passionates, I hope that this served you as well as it served me. I did not necessarily want to give you all the answers. Sometimes I just want to create more questions for you so that you can go out and do your own research. It's great to have people give you information, but it's even greater for you to do your own research so you can either substantiate or refute what you've been told. With that said, if you have questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, feel free to leave them below in the comment box. They are all welcome. I will respond as quickly as I can. You know that I am a team of one currently, and so it may take me some time, but I will respond to you. If you would like to make a donation, all of the donation links are below: PayPal, Zelle,
Venmo. Yeah, Venmo.
No, and I need to set up a Venmo, but PayPal, Zelle, Linktree, Podbean. There's several ways that you can leave a donation. All are welcome. All amounts are welcome. All are appreciated. All are received in love. I think that's it for housekeeping. Oh, if you would like to send a more personalized listener letter and you have questions that you want answered, but you want them handled anonymously, you can send them to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. I will get with you. I think that's it this time. Go forth, be great, be filled with bliss, be armed and empowered with knowledge. Eat for your supreme wellness. Eat for your optimal wellness. Know that balance is key. Know that if you have one without the other, you will be imbalanced and you'll still have need. So the objective is to identify how you need to be fed, you specifically, because there is no one map for everyone. How you specifically need to be fed, how it can serve you, how it can benefit you, how you most appreciate it. I think that's all that I need to say. Omena, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your knowledge. And I think that's it. In all things, be passionate. I'll see y'all later.
Passionate. I love it.